right. Welcome to another episode of Yes, Quit Your Day Job. My name's Seven Dunbar. I'm a music producer, audio engineer. This podcast, basically, what it's about is we try to empower people, musicians that are, no matter where you are in your career, to kind of get to that next level. We have just guidance, tips, tricks, kind of artist development, whether you're an artist or if you're whatever part of the industry you're in, whether you're studio, audio engineer, music producer, we have tips and tricks for that and kind of all sides of the business. And one of the things we do is we like to interview musicians that are in the industry. The reason it's called Yes, Quit Your Day Job is because you always hear a truck in the background of my guests. You always hear people like when it's Um, if you want to do something creative, they'll say, "Oh yeah, oh you're singing, oh yeah, don't quit your day job, right?" And so this is called Yes, Quit Your Day Job because we want to empower people to pursue their passions and pursue creative things and things that, where society is like, oh, there's no money in that. You can't be a musician, you can't be an artist, you can't work for a record label or be an audio engineer. Like, go get a real job, right? So today I got a good friend of mine. We're actually doing some work together. We got Cadmus here. So I'll open the floor to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man, where to start? I've been just like any other musician. I've been doing it my whole life, man. Um, just work full time, 10, 12-hour days. And when I'm not doing that, I am half asleep trying to write some music and work on some music and move forward.
Nice. Very cool. How old were you when you started?
Oh, God. First time I picked up a guitar, must have been 5 or 6 years old. And it was too big for me. So by the time I hit 10 years old, I learned piano, did that for a year and a half, picked up the guitar again, and by 13, I was on stage with my dad's band.
Wow.
Talking about fear.
Yeah.
I was a very, very shy kid growing up. I was not what I am today.
Yeah. Uh, when was your first like live experience? I know we talked a little bit. You said it was like around 13. What?
Yeah, so I was going to school at Yosemite High in California, and so it was a few hours away from San Jose, California, and so I don't know if it was like on a spring break, winter break, or something. I just know I was 13, and my dad's like, "Hey," he goes, "Learn these songs," and I was like, "Dad, I know it. I've been playing these songs on the CD or on the tape." I had a little boom box. It was a little CD tape deck boom box, and he goes, "Practice it some more." He goes, "Live is completely different than a CD," and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And we played at Quarter Note. Quarter Note is in Sunnyvale, California. Robert is the owner, and it was this tiny little stage, and I was having what I didn't know was an anxiety attack at the time, but like I was so nervous, and it wasn't necessarily an anxiety attack, but it was definitely some kind of anxiety. And Herman Garcia was the lead vocalist, and he's like, "Just imagine everybody naked." And I was like, "No." I was like, "I see everybody. I don't want to see them naked." And I got up on stage and I was shaking. Like I'm all sitting there trying to do the chords and I'm just doing this number the whole entire time. And then I like closed my eyes for a second, opened them back up, and I imagined everybody in their underwear. And I was like, wow, nothing could be worse than what I'm envisioning right now.
What was that like being in a band with your dad?
Amazing.
Okay.
Um, w- I still technically say that I'm in a band with him, because we'll do a reunion. We try to do a reunion once a year with the people that we've had in our band over the years. Um, it's probably the coolest thing that has ever been in my life. Like he's like my best friend. He's the whole reason why I started. I remember seeing him and listening to his bands, and and I was like, yeah, I want to be like that.
That's so cool. I
Yeah.
love it. So with that kinda upbringing, did you always see yourself, like, music as your future, or did that develop over time?
I literally thought I would be doing it full time touring by the time I was right out of high school. I never envisioned that I would actually have a job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it right out the gate, it was never a hobby. You're like, this is
Yep.
okay.
I try to do other things, and it has never completed me. I literally work to afford music.
Okay. I think I can relate to that. I think a lot of people can relate to that for sure. Um, so let's shift gears a little bit. So you're in California. At some point, you move to the sad skies of the Pacific Northwest.
Yep, there's gonna be sunflowers. I tell you what.
Sunflowers, man. Um, uh, what prompted that move?
Oh, okay. So, I had quit music for a little bit. I got married. I left my dad's band
Okay.
at 2023, I think, and it was 3 years of hell. I had a beautiful daughter over it, so there was that. Uh, she was so toxic that I actually fled. And I figured 2 states was a good start, so I started off in Washington.
You're like, how
Of
far
like,
north can I get without being in Canada?
dude, it almost wasn't far enough. She called me like in a few days, and she goes, "Hey, I'm in Portland. What's your address?" And I was like, "Ugh."
Fuck.
I was like change numbers and everything, man. Yeah, so it was actually much needed. I was getting into a lot of fights and everything in California, and then being in a bad relationship. It going where I did was a good reset and a good like I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore to go to a 7-Eleven if I'm going to get jumped or have a gun pointed at my head or whatever. So it was a nice change.
Wow, dude. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
went a little dark, but that's true.
like, why'd you move? They were trying to kill me. That's a good
Yeah,
way
I
to
was trying to stay alive.
yeah. With the obviously the lack of being murdered, but like, how was the music scene different from when you moved to where you started?
Dude, it was actually great because when I was in California, like when I was in high school, I had one major like original band, kind of like a rock band, like not metal or anything. And then it was always let's see, I joined a band at 18 in Fresno.
Okay.
I had just left them because they hit the studio without me, and I got all butthurt about it. And they opened up for Head PE.
Were you the bass player?
I was a guitarist. I wasn't a bass player yet.
Oh, I was gonna say
I
bass player. I could see you getting left behind. Them, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah. What do you do again?
Well, we're gonna talk about that. Moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah. But all I could find in California was at least in where I was at was top 40 cover bands.
Oh, Jesus.
And so I did that.
This was when I was in Vegas. It was all cover bands and tribute bands, and I think Vegas, in my opinion, is the only place that makes sense.
Dude, it sucked.
Yeah,
I
but you
mean,
know what? I hear the money in doing a cover band, the money is a lot better than it is, like, grinding it out with trying to launch your own original band, because you get people at, like, bars and whatever that just wanna hear their favorite hits and things like that, so I don't know, it feels different to me. There's a lot of mixed opinions on the whole cover bands and
it was nice because there was like a period of 2 years. I think it was 2 years, and my timeline could be a little bit different. This was years ago. I didn't have another job. I mean I bartended kind of in the beginning, and I was in my dad's band and another band with another buddy doing the top 40 stuff,
yeah.
and we were playing 7 days a week, man. Sometimes we played 3 shows in one day,
Wow, okay.
and I made
Yeah,
good money, and that's when I was a bass player. I switched to bass because my dad. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're Larry's son, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And first it was cool, and then I was like, "I'm an adult. I do have a name." so I so I switched to bass, and that's when I realized I was like, "Oh, I'm actually a much better bass player." But
yeah,
to get back to your answer, when I
yeah,
moved here, uh, I was here for about a month and joined Bone River. And Bone River just got back from being on tour, off of tour with direct support of Saliva,
Okay.
and the bass player had to leave. He had an option: stay married or stay with the band and find a divorce. And so I was like, "Hey, how's it going? I'll be your bass player." And I happened to have met the drummer, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "Yeah, you still interested?" I said, "Yeah." So when I moved up here, I've been in nothing but original bands, and it's been fantastic.
Nice.
I wish I started much earlier, but
Yeah. What was that energy like? Like, you're joining a band that they just came off of a tour with a national band, so they're probably amped up, ready to go, whether it's 2 more shows or get into the studio or do whatever, and you're kinda walking in as the new guy, and they're probably sharing all kinds of tour experiences they just had. Like, what was that energy like?
dude, it was I was hungry. Um I was super hungry for it. I was like, "Yeah, let's do this. Like, what do I got to do? Like, how do I do this?" Um Unfortunately, looking back at it now, I'm like, "Oh, they were already on our way of a breakup before, you know, before I joined." But the lead singer, Tim, he was super gun ho about it. I mean, he was like, "Hey, let's do this, let's do this." So him and I spent a lot of time just playing. Um, I actually started to write some music. It never really went anywhere because, let's see, I joined in January. I think our first rehearsals were February.
Okay.
Our drummer in June, I think it was, had a pool tournament hours away.
Like synchronized swimming pool?
Yeah, bar pool,
Oh, okay.
a pool table.
That's gonna be my next guess.
Yeah. And he kind of disappeared. Really solid drummer. But he kind of disappeared. And then the cousin is the guitarist, and he just was like burnt out. And I'm like, I'm fresh in this for a couple months, and I'm like, dude, we're opening up for Saving Abel.
I was gonna say, wasn't there a tour booked with Saving Abel?
There was. We weren't the direct support. We were going to be one of the opening acts, and
Put you out
they
there.
want yeah, they wanted us to do a full tour, and Tim had asked, and we all agreed doing a West Coast tour, especially for me being a first timer, you know, on any kind of tour. I was like, well, let's do a West Coast tour because I had just left my wife. I had no money really, so I was like, I don't know how we're going to do this. And then everybody just kind of split. And Tim asked me, he sat me down. He goes, "I came from Seattle. I can get studio musicians, and we can do this tour." Uh, and he goes, "What do you think?" And I said, "No." I was like, the camaraderie is not going to be there. I really got attached to these guys. We used to go out drinking, we worked together, and all this. And I was just really excited to be out with people I enjoyed.
Yeah,
I was
and that's
more
such a huge part of it when you're whether you're in, like, the little we used to call them the marshmallows, the little, like, 10 or 15 passenger vans. Even on a bus, like, it's a pressure cooker. You gotta like, imagine having, like, 6 roommates in a studio apartment for a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was scared. So I told him, I was like, respectfully, I don't think I want to do it. And well, "Can I ask you a question why?" And I said, "Yeah." And I told him why, and he goes, "I respect that." He never questioned me. And then I moved on to do other bands and everything, and we stayed in touch up until he passed away.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I think just kinda touching on what you said a second ago, I know me personally, there's tours that I took because when I was very young and early in my career as an artist, I was just hungry to tour, and I was like, oh, we got offered a national tour, right?" I think now I would kind of do what you had the wisdom to do and really look at that and go, "Yeah, a tour's fun and it's opening up for a national, but, like, is it with the right group of people? Is it gonna help help me reach my goals and where I wanna be?" Um, I think that was smart, especially, like, that early in your career to be able to do that.
It might have been. I think a lot of it too was it could have been fear. I don't know.
Sure.
Um,
I mean,
I
fear's there for a reason, though, it protects us, right?
true. So who knows what would have happened, but I don't regret it.
Good. Well, that's the most important thing. You mentioned Tim had passed, and again, I'm sorry to hear about that. Like, how did that affect you personally?
Oh, dude, that's when I found out I have feelings for people.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
oh,
wow, sorry.
yeah.
Like, I was a
I was like,
sociopath up until then.
yeah. Well, like y- you're born, you die, right? Like, and not necessarily like right away, obviously, but like it's just part of life. It never really bothered me.
Yeah,
But he was such a he was like a big brother to me. And it really messed with me for like 3 months solid. Um, and
yeah.
I remember I would always ask him, like, he always loved how I played guitar and the way that I would write on acoustic. And as much as he enjoyed that, I was always like, him and his cousin would start singing as soon as I started playing something, and they were amazing. And I'm
Wow.
like, how do you do that, right? So and he goes, "Oh, you just hum it or whatever." He goes, "I've been doing this long enough where I can just start singing anything." I'm like, "Okay, I get that." So when he passed, I had one goal. First of all, I had to get over the heartache of it.
Yeah,
But then I was like, "Okay, we're doing a celebration of life. I'm gonna write him a song." And it was called Northern Sky. And and I remember I had the whole acoustic written and everything. And then I was sitting in my bedroom. And I was like, "Dude, I can't figure out how to sing for anything." Right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I remember looking up at the sky and I was like, "Tim, if I don't know if this is real, but if you can help a brother out, like help me out." And I had words written. I just I couldn't figure out how to do the melody or anything. And as soon as I, this is going to sound like I'm lying, but I shit you not, like 2 minutes after I just said, "Hey dude, can you help me out?" I wrote that whole vocal pattern from that minute to the end. And then I kept going day by day by day to refine it to make it look, to make it sound more enjoyable, something appealing to the ear. And I performed it at his celebration of life.
Had you ever considered yourself a singer before that?
God no. In 2012, I was living in Fresno, a year before I moved to the Pacific Northwest. I did join. I actually reconnected with Hypex. Hypex was the one that went to the recording studio
Without you?
uh, without me, and I reconnected with the guitarist, and we got a band together. And he heard me do karaoke once. I did. I'm. It's gonna sound funny, but I'm known at any karaoke place as the bodies guy that let the bodies hit the floor.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Does that
So
drive
I
you
can't.
to it?
Yeah, so I can't go anywhere without singing that. So he heard me do that, and he goes, "Dude," he goes, "let's do a cover band." And I was like, "Sure." And so I kind of did it here and there. I did American Head Charge. I did that, and then I did a song by Grade Eight with Ryan Tooker, Brick by Brick.
Okay.
And then I did a couple Drowning Pools as well. So I had a little bit of experience at that time, but I still didn't see myself as a singer until I did the celebration of life. And then I actually started up a form of Shattered Shell for the next few years with two other bandmates. And it was more of a kind of like a grungy rock, 90s style, all originals I wrote.
Nice.
Um, it needed to happen so I could become a better singer, I guess you could say, something more not so cookie cutter. But no, I still to this day don't even find myself a singer. I'm like, get me back on the bass, man. Like, that's my love. But I can't find anybody.
Yeah, I it's interesting how that works because I think most people start as a guitarist and then they join a band, and at some point they, you draw straws or whatever happens that somebody gets demoted to bass player, and
You
and
know, about this, you know.
right, they're like, oh, sorry, bad connection, gotta go.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
weird. Look at that. No.
yeah, but I say that to say this: I started on bass. That was my first instrument, and so I feel that gives me a little bit of room to give bass players a hard time because
Yeah.
one, I'm a bass player before I'm anything, and I kind of did the same thing where with my band, when I was starting out, I had this concept, I played bass in a couple bands and then I really wanted to do my own thing and I couldn't find anybody and I was like, I'll just do it all. I was doing industrial, so it's allowed for it to be one guy in the studio doing everything. Uh,
Right.
and then but like when it came to like, well, these are my vocals and these are my lyrics. I'm not going to give that to somebody else. Here's a bass. I'll be the singer. Uh,
That's where I'm at with that too. And I mean, look it. I should have done this a long time ago and just never had fear because I've made great connections. I met you
yeah,
over Enemy or Slipping Away. I can't remember what song it was. Uh,
I think it was slipping away.
yeah. And then I met so many other people um, over the years just from me going solo.
Music in general, I've had these conversations a couple times where I'll post something up on social media and kinda be like, "Hey, like, how do we know each other?" Right? And I have, like, 5,000 Facebook friends and probably 10,000 on Instagram, and every now and then it's like, "Hey, how do we where do we know each other from?" Do we have we ever met in person? Because with touring, you meet a lot of people, and across the board, everybody's like, "Oh, you played that one show in Maine, and I came out, and you were super cool," or "You were a dick." I don't know. It's I the amount of people I've met either that came out as fans of music or that I've worked with or that I've it's the majority of the people I know in my life, I realize has come through music, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't I wouldn't know the people I do without it for sure, so I can definitely relate to that. Uh, so with Shattered Shell, actually backing up a little bit, you had talked about being up in the Um, I keep wanting to say potato Northwest because I lived in Idaho for a little bit, and that's what I call
I mean, we're neighbors.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely the Pacific Northwest, and there's a band, System 7, which I know because I have friends that have been telling me about them for years, but then oddly enough, one of my really good friends has a band called System 6.
I
So
know. That's
yeah.
funny.
So you, if I remember this correctly, like, you joined that band for a little while, is that right?
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to their guitar. So they did a big show. I think it was up in at the White River in what is that, Auburn, Washington, or whatever.
Okay,
And they opened up for Powerman 5000, and was it Powerman 5000? Yeah, I think
maybe.
it was Powerman 5000 and or Marilyn Manson and Zombie.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then they took like a 5-year hiatus. COVID happened and all of that, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't I don't know what happened to their guitarist, but I knew the drummer, and we ran into each other at some casino me and my lady went to, and we're literally like it was one of those I don't know if it was like Frankenstein or whatever, but it was like the one that's like a circle. So when you're sitting, you got another person like right here next to you, and he looks over to me, and I hadn't seen this guy in 10 years. And he looks over to me, he goes, "Fingers." And
What?
I was like, "Wait, what?" He goes, Daniel or whatever, and I was like, "Eddie?" He goes, "Yeah." And I was like, what are you doing here, bro?" And he was like, we got back into touch, and he's like, "Hey, System 7 is looking for a guitarist. We're doing a show in July at the Shed Fest in Stanwood, Washington."
Yeah,
I was like, "Dude," I'm
for the
like,
re
"Right here."
you keep saying, "What is it?" when you're saying clubs and cities, I don't know, but go on.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, I like it. I'm not familiar with like with most things in watching this, so I'm like, oh shit, what is it? You know what I mean? Like I'm basically asking my my other personalities, I guess. But yeah, so I was waiting for all these videos to show me how to play their music because I'm very familiar with their music. I listen to it every year. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
consistently, and so 4 days before the show, I finally have the videos, and I go to yeah I go to one rehearsal, and we are sitting in this paid studio area, so we're all sitting there playing together and everything. And I've got Melinda sitting here with a camera on the guitarist as I'm trying to play from what I did learn. And so the next 4 days, I sit there and learn the rest of the music to the day that I'm on my way 4.5 hours away to go play this show. And like I watch back on the videos and I'm like, why am I standing like that? Why am I hunched over trying to look cool? Like, because like all I'm trying to do is like in my head, I'm thinking more of like, don't fuck this up. Don't fuck this up. I'm in front of a bunch of people right now with a well known band that I just learned the last 4 days. And dude, it turned out to be a really good show.
That's good. See, that's amazing, and when it comes to my own stuff, obviously, like, it's not that you don't get nervous, like, I still get it's not nervous, though, it's a different feeling. I still get excited and, that, like, really kinda good kind of anxiety before going on stage, but I've played as, like a hired gun or as a favor. I've played with friends' bands and stuff, and I that's the only time I'm really nervous because you have to, like, honor what it is that they're doing and they wrote, and I same thing, like, I look at my body language on stage doing bass or doing something keys or something for another band, and it's different than when it's my own stuff, you know?
Because you're not comfortable with it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the cool thing about playing in those cover bands all those years is we did a lot of jam sessions that we hosted because that's what my dad was into.
Gross.
And so it taught me how to learn other people's music within seconds.
Yeah,
So,
that
so
would
you
make sense, yeah.
yeah. So I I needed that, not knowing that I needed that, because a lot of people can't do that. You have tons of people that are really good at what they do, but the minute you put a little wrench that they have to maneuver, all of a sudden they stop. They're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do."
Yeah, it's definitely its own skill to be able to, like, learn things by ear, first of all, but also learn on the fly or improvise. Like, I feel like jam bands and jazz are really the 2 places that that's gonna shine, when it comes to different kinds of metal, whether it's new metal or alternative or just like, or industrial, which is more my background.
Right.
When it comes to industrial, there's not much improv, like you typically have backing tracks or at least sequencers involved. And it's like, no, this is how the song is. We're not going to vamp off this bridge for 20 minutes because it feels right. It is what it is. So what was the decision then? You're rocking out with System 7, and then what was the your solo at Shattered Shell?
Well, nothing. I haven't heard really anything that System Seven's doing. And right before that, I was in Harbor Place, and we had I just left Harbor Place in 2024 January, so I had 2 demos out of Shattered Shell before I did the System 7 thing.
Nice, okay.
Um, and it was just an old drummer of mine, and we got together, and then I was like, man, I've got all this like anger from not anger, but I've got this like pent up like I don't even know what you call it, like something pent up where I was just like, man, I gotta get these lyrics out. I gotta play some music. I gotta start writing for myself again. And so did the System 7 after I released 2 demos. And then I was like, I had been so happy. I was like, dude, I've been dying to be in this band. Then they just kind of faded away. The singers in Florida. Um,
It happens.
I don't know what the other guys are doing. I'm still talking to Eddie. Eddie's a drummer.
Okay.
We're we're we always mess around with some music that we send back and forth. Eventually, we'll finish a song, and
Or not, you know, as long as you enjoy.
yeah. So that was July 20th, and then I think August, Sean Eisen posted a post saying, "I'm giving out like a free producer something. Uh, if you win, it's on me. Like basically, we'll do a song."
Okay.
So he's like, "Post your song." So I posted up. I think I posted up "What Are You," which was one of my demos, and he goes, "Hell yeah, dude." He goes, "Finally, someone in the metal." He goes, "I keep getting hip hop and rappers and
Of
all
course.
this." Yeah, and I was like, "Oh shit, I got it. Let's go." Right? And I'm just now like singing again, so I'm still not really. I get caught off guard when someone picks me,
Okay.
and so we did what turned out to be Shatter Shell Enemy. And then we wrote Slipping Away right after that. So it just became
So
I'm not looking for a band anymore.
that's where those 2 songs came from. That makes sense.
Yeah,
I and they're both great songs. I remember it was confusing for me because in the last few months, as you know, I was working on the recent KMFDM album that came out, in February.
fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I was doing, I got lucky enough to do the, immersive mixing on that. So, little Dolby Atmos, immersive mixing. Losing my voice, man, which that was great, but the funny thing was is that album is called Enemy,
Yeah.
and the second single off that album, the song itself is called Enemy, and then you would hit me up and be like, "Da da 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 da, enemy," and I was like, "Hold on, my brain is like, I've literally been mixing this song all day. Now you're talking these are not the same thing, like, shift
What
gears."
what you don't know is actually KMFDM and I secretly tied that in together to really mess with you. We're actually best friends. You just don't know
Yeah, the scheduling, no, it's the universe conspiring against me.
it.
What's, so what's next for Shattered Shell?
Well, it's funny that you ask. I am working with this unmentionable guy. He's really not important, honestly. No, I'm working with you
Yeah, man.
on. I'm finally working with you, and we're gonna do a song together.
We're gonna do many songs together.
We are gonna do many songs together, but your voice is going on there. Sorry to tell you, sir, but
Yeah, well,
you're gonna
throw this
feature.
chest cold and we'll get that rocking.
Nope, you got to do it with the chest cold.
I mean, we've done this before. That's a thing that has happened. Um,
And that's something that you and I still have to go over because we're either going to do an EP or we're going to do one song a month kind of situation.
well, I think, Eric, Zero Eric being involved, he's the so with Seven Factor, I mean, you already know this, but with Seven Factor, it's been me from the beginning as the driving, writing, creative force behind that. I've definitely collaborated with other people over the years, but for the album that we're doing now, the 52 song album, um, Eric and I have been the main ones behind that. Again, we are collaborating. There's a couple songs that I've worked with other friends of mine on this, but Eric and I have done the majority of the songs. And so you and I talked about this, but I was like, man, I really should bring Eric into the Shattered Shell stuff. I think the way him and I complement each other artistically and musically, I think it's going to bring something really cool. So,
I'm actually really stoked. I've only got to have a few communications with Eric. He seems like a really good guy. I do like his style from his writing, just from your stuff.
the
Uh,
dude can write a catchy hook, man. He is like, I can write songs, but he's just got this talent for like, it's not that it's simplistic, it's that it's just appealing. It's a catchy hook, and he's
yeah,
really good at that.
and that's definitely what I need. I do miss writing, and some of the stuff I will write a riff or two here and there. Um, but God, with work, man, like I have to focus on usually one thing and I don't have the time to write everything like I used to. It's got to be vocals for me, or I got to focus on bass and
Yeah,
not do the other stuff. So with Shattered Shell, I've realized I'm just gonna focus on the singing. If I come up with a hook or something, I'll share it to you guys.
love it.
But my main focus is just singing.
That makes sense. I mean,
It's a hard one to let go.
and you know what though? But you're the one that makes the rules, so that could be a thing where you start incorporating your musical background as a guitarist and your other background as a bass player, and uh, like being able to bring that in. So there's always room. You'd mentioned a couple times now, like the work life balance thing that you have a day job essentially to be able to do music, but you're working so much at the day job that you're not doing as much as you want with the music. I just
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask if do you remember the name of this podcast?
Yes. Quit your day job.
Okay, just checking.
I'm I'm working on this, man. I'm working on it.
You know what? I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Throwing it.
yeah, yeah.
So,
See what happened was.
so, you mentioned song or EP, and the reason I brought up Eric is I think we definitely should do an EP. What's the next stage after that? Like any touring plans?
I would love to. This is all very new to me in the sense of being a front man. Um, Not having a instrument in front of me, which is fine. I don't think I'll have a problem with that.
No.
It's the I've been trying to put this band together for a while now. So I'm on the sense that I'm going to have to hire musicians to do a tour. And here's the thing. I don't know how to play just about any of my songs.
Okay.
So some of them will have to be rewritten, as I don't have the backing tracks. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, you can recreate the backing tracks, and even if you don't necessarily know how to play the song in that sense, like my buddy John, my other guitarist, has just this amazing ability that he can, as he's hearing something, he's pretty much playing it before he's done, right? Find somebody like that, even if it's a hired gun kind of thing where you can hire them to like me, I'm not good. I can do it if I have a guitar in front of me or a piano. I can kind of like go through the notes and go, oh, okay, that's a G, and like, but it's like it takes me a long time. I'm not really good at figuring things out by ear. I I know music theory enough. My ears are good enough that I can hear notes and I know what they are, but like I'm not one of those people that can just play like I said, like John, like before the song finishes, they're already playing along. Um,
right.
but find somebody like that. I'll even give you John's info. Find somebody like that and throw them a couple bucks and they'll lay out all the parts for you and tab it out and that kind of.
And, and that's probably something I'm going to do. You and I've talked about doing a show together or something. So I think what I would wind up doing is finding a couple guys or girls, whichever, and do like a I don't know, a 1 week run or a 2 week run, probably a 2 week run, and just hit the West Coast. So maybe do a couple shows up in Seattle. Drive down to L.A., hit LA, Fresno, Bay Area, and just work our way back up, to Portland. And maybe do, I don't know, maybe do a Vegas show in between there or something, depending on how it goes. But just do like a little West Coast tour and see how that goes. And maybe do that a couple times so people start remembering who we are, and not just like, oh, we saw that one band. I don't remember who they were. Just play at the same places a couple times.
Yeah. I I think for me, like one strategy that I think works well, and obviously it's always changing, but like obviously there's no such thing as a local band anymore, right? It's a controversial statement, but I've said this before and I stand by it. There's no such thing as a local band. And if people want to get into why I'm saying that, I'll make a whole video just on that. I think that building your online presence, and that takes it's all momentum and consistency. It's the consistently putting stuff out there, like in a digital realm, like you said, where people see it enough, they hear it enough, they remember it. But while you're doing that, I always call it the wagon wheel strategy, right? So let's say you're in Portland as your like closest biggest city. Um, you do weekend runs and you go, okay, this weekend we're going to head up and we're going to hit Seattle and we're going to hit the city west of Seattle because apparently I do not know Washington's geography, but I'm sure there's a city west of there that's big and has
Aberdeen,
sure. I just think of Nirvana. That's the only
Nirvana, Aberdeen.
yeah,
Yeah.
the only reason I know Aberdeen is Nirvana. But, you do that, and then the next weekend you do, "Okay, let's do a hometown show in Portland, and let's hit, uh, you know, uh, somewhere else." Um, I should have a map in front of me as I'm listing this off. Like, you get the point though, right? Like,
Yeah,
go
yeah. Well, you're gonna hit Australia from Washington, right? Now.
right, yeah, but you go and, okay, the next weekend we go out and we do Boise and we do Salt Lake City, right?
Right.
Then we do Bakersfield in Vegas, and then we do LA and San Diego, and each weekend it's a different part of that wagon wheel, right? Um, and then when it gets to a point where if you're doing the wagon wheel every weekend, you're not gonna play the same place too much, so you don't have oversaturation. You'll get in there like every 2 months or every 3 months, and it's just enough for people
Right.
to get eager, and that really kind of gets things solidified and everybody in the band, like, they know the deal. As far as not just playing the songs and building up your chops, but traveling as a band and the rhythms of getting to the venue, loading in, sound check, dealing with the local openers, even though I just said there are no locals. Um, you you know what I'm saying.
I knew what you meant. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's always a strategy that I think really works. There's obviously a lot of other opinions and ways to do that, and I think once you do that and you start
where'd you go? Did I lose you, buddy?
I think we're back. I don't know what happened, if the live stream just sat there with you while I was gone or not, but we're gonna let it roll.
It
Um,
did. It my phone let me know that there was a live stream going on by you, so I clicked on it. And it was just me, and I was like, "Oh,
it's
look
just
at that
you
lonely
hanging
little
out?
fucker."
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love everything about that. Well, little technical difficulty on my end, we're back at it. To finish that thought, I was saying, I think that there's a lot of strategies, but I think the wagon wheel that we had talked about, and then you build up kind of a regional where every like 6 months or so, instead of doing a wagon wheel, you'll actually head out and do like a week run all at once and, kind of hit maybe some secondary markets you haven't before. And then while you're doing that, reaching out, you mentioned the thing with Saliva and Saving Abel and looking for opportunities where you can get on as either opening or direct support and you get onto more of a national that way. And I think this is something that constantly changes, but I think right now, not if, I mean, I have a band that we do it. That's how I would do things even if I was starting a new band.
Right. Well, you didn't know you're starting a new band, right?
Yeah, I did hear that rumor. Yeah. um, yeah, I guess kind of closing things out, our last little bit here, do some like rapid fire questions for you. Um, we talked about this a little bit, but if you had your preference, is it bass or vocals?
Oh man, bass with backup vocals.
option option number C, I see. All right.
Yeah, yeah. No, I would do. God, you know what? Bass. It would have to be bass.
Okay. Love it. Why and why is that?
Um, I run everywhere on stage. Like I am the type of guy that jumps off the stage and goes plays in the crowd and then runs back up and you
Love it.
know,
That's how it should be.
mhm.
Um, Tour bus or van?
Preferably a tour bus.
Okay. Um, one if you could go back in time, like what's one thing you would tell your 13-year-old self?
Oh, start way younger fighting for what you want. God, I'm 39 years old, bro. I got a short window to make this happen.
You're 13, you're already falling behind. Get it together.
Yeah,
What's one red flag musicians should watch for in a band?
passive aggressiveness.
You prefer like aggressive aggressive?
Just be upfront, man. Like black and white. Just hey, you got a problem with me? Nip
Say
it in the ass right away.
yeah. What's a green flag?
A green flag would God, I don't even know. Like there's so many. Be professional. That's a
Okay.
green flag.
Professionalism is definitely a green flag. Last but not least, I always kinda open up the ending of our episodes here to give you an opportunity if there's anything you wanna ask me or anything at all, any questions.
I would put it right back to you. What would you do differently at a younger age, when you're first starting out than what you did do? Is there anything?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. I'm impressed if you thought of that question. Uh, um, if I can go back to when I first started, I think, man, I that is a tough one being on the receiving end of that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask you eventually when if we were on the phone or not. It was eventually gonna come up.
Yeah, it was gonna come up anyways. Like, what would I do differently? I think having a little bit more patience. I think being really eager to get an album done, get an album finished, get out on tour. I think I think it's good to be, like, hungry like that. I think it's good to be eager, but I think you gotta, like, take a beat sometimes and think about like, doing it's good, but have patience with it and have planning
Yeah.
and make sure that when you execute, it's going to be done correctly. I've learned now, for some reason, especially in my early 20s, I was always like, "I have to do this now. This is a very limited time. If I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it," right? And
Relate with that a lot.
yeah, and I think that there's a little bit of truth to that, right? Like, mu we're all getting older and music's a tough industry, but I think that realizing it's important to take the time to do things correctly. Um, and stupid examples of that are and these are really stupid examples, but to put it out there, like my very first EP ev no, album ever, which I think I have a copy of. I saw one like 10 minutes ago around here as I'm reorganizing my studio. I'm not gonna go looking for it, but, so my band Human Factors Lab, my very first album, I wrote all the songs myself. I recorded them all. I had a studio I was working at in Boca Raton, Florida, but I was going to college 4 hours away in Orlando. So I would, like, record demos. I didn't even have a computer. I was doing it all on a Korg D1600 hard disk recorder,
Yeah.
and I was using all the electronics. I had 3 things I was using. I was using, an Electribe, so we got one of those right there, but I was using the original. I had the ER1 and the EA1 Electribes, Korg Electribes, which, before going to college, I'd worked at Sam Ash, and Korg had this promotion that if you as a salesperson, if you sold a certain number of Electribes, they sent you a free one. And so I would do that where anybody came in, they're like, I need a drum machine. I'm like, Electribe. And they're like, I need a synth. And I'm like, obviously Electribe. Like anything you need, the answer is Electribe, right?
Yeah.
So I got the EA1, the ER1, and then later the ES1, which I love all 3 of those. I still have them again as I'm setting up this new studio. They're in boxes around me somewhere. Um, And then also, Sam Ash had the same promotion going with the Korg Triton, which had just come out. It was this, it's like 2000, 2001, and it's this monster workstation, kind of beats anything technology wise. It's got a touch screen. Like, whoever thought of that, right? Uh,
Right.
and it's got like I was using a Roland JX305 groove synth, which was the synth version of the MC505, the exact same synth engine. And the MC505 was really geared towards like the early 2000s, late 90s techno.
Mhm.
And so they're like, let's make a keyboard version. And they didn't realize that DJs don't want a full keyboard. They want that little groove box. And exactly, yeah. And, but for industrial, there was this thing that would happen with that synth. It was like a glitch with the polyphony, where it could only play so many notes at one time. And
Mm.
so if you sequenced, you had 8, it was a loop sequencer, so you set the bar the sequencing loop for 8 bars or 16 bars. You had 8 tracks. Track 8 was dedicated drums, and you had 7 others to pick other sounds from, right? So if you have all 8 tracks going and you have, like, really complex stuff, it overloads the polyphony and it would like little notes would drop out, and it became like this randomization thing, but it would also give it this lo-fi sound that was just like industrial as fuck.
That's
So
sick.
I still use that keyboard. I start almost every song with that synth, and I have stuff that's way better and way more complicated. That's the one I always use. Um, so I had a Roland JX305 with an 8-track sequencer. I had um, the ER1, the EA1 elect tribes that have their own loop sequencers, very similar. And then I had the Korg Triton that had a linear sequencer. So I could like almost like a DAW, I could create everything I needed in there. And I
Hmm.
15 tracks, not 8 tracks. So it was like double the power. Why would you ever need more than 16 tracks, right?
Right.
And I used a Korg D1600 hard disk. So it was a multi-track recorder, kind of like the old tape, you'd see like the Roland had those where it
Yeah, I
was,
had the couple of Rollins.
yeah, so it was like that, but it recorded onto a hard drive. And it sent out MIDI machine control, meaning that when I hit start, it would start the machine. Not the machine, it would start the hard disk recorder, but it would send out a start message to all my sequencers that were daisy chained.
Hmm.
So I hit one button, all the sequencers start up. That's how I did it live for years. I didn't know about backing tracks. I
Yeah.
dragged 5 sequencers on stage and MIDI'd them all together and learned the limitations of MIDI. You don't want to daisy chain more than 3. You start getting latency.
Life lesson.
Learn these things the hard way.
Yep.
Uh, but I went on a tangent about gear, which happens, but before I recorded this whole album using this D1600. I didn't even use a computer. I used hardware sequencers, D1600, and I would drive down to Boca 4 hours on the weekends and record vocals at a studio there that I'd worked with for a couple years. And
Right.
that's how I did that album. And it was like my first solo, like this is my thing. I did everything on it. And I had like 2 misspellings on like I spelled one of the song names wrong. Like
It
I
makes it unique.
yeah, like, one of the songs was called Leeches, and I spelled it Leaches, and then I was looking at, like, a Tool album, and it had the song Ticks and Leeches. I go, "Why'd they spell that like that? That's weird." And then I was like, "Oh, I'm a s" um, and so yeah, like, the first few 100 copies of that album had, the song like, the song and some of the liner notes misspelled. Like, that's an example. What a stupid mistake that if I'd taken the time and going, I can wait a week to submit this to get manufactured. Let me make sure every word on here is correct, right? Um,
Yeah.
and then there was another time where I was so confident in my ability that we didn't need a booking agent. We could book our own tour, even though we'd never really left Florida. I was confident we could book our own tour up the East Coast, you know, and I
Yeah.
did. And we locked in a couple really key dates and I routed out the entire tour and we made posters and flyers and we listed our tour dates and it just had the cities on the ones because and the reason is because the day we left, half the tour wasn't confirmed. It wasn't booked, you know?
Oh no.
But I was so confident that I can do this tour and we can book this that we
Now this was a different era though.
this is like a year after that first album dropped.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh,
so
but it's
social
different.
media wasn't a thing.
Oh, yeah, social media wasn't I mean, we're talking this is 2006,
Yeah.
right?
So MySpace had just been kind of fizzling out, and uh that's where I met your friend.
Which friend?
Uh uh Morrison Poe.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Gene.
Gene, on wow, God, that's still so
We
weird.
got we still got to hit her up though. We have to do a song with her.
Yeah, um,
She was ready for that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. No, she's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trust me.
and that was the thing is that when we had started, you mentioned Gene Morrison, and we had started playing Fort Lauderdale at this club called the Culture Room. I've talked about this before on the podcast, and we had such a good experience, we almost got spoiled. Like, the way that we were treated by the owner of that club and how supportive he was of the local scene, I think led to my delusions of the confidence of being able to book that tour because I was like, "We'll just hit them up and tell them who we are, and they'll book us." Because that was my experience, that the club owner would put whether it was a support act for a larger band, like we did, like, a showcase once with Roadrunner, and it was, like, right after Slipknot and Coal Chamber and some I can't remember the other band, and
Great
then
bands.
all the executives, their after party was at this show, and then we were playing the after party, and all the guys from Slipknot were there, and it was like this new they were kinda new, so it was cool seeing like, "Oh, these are like that new band with all the masks." Um,
Nice.
and so yeah, we used to and then the owner, Greg Aliferis was his name, probably still is. I haven't talked to him in years, but
It's still the same name.
probably still the same name, right? But he would put together these shows around holidays. So it'd be like the Thanksgiving or spring break or 4th of July or whatever the fuck it was, right? And
Right.
it would be all the local bands. So it'd be like, Human Factors Lab and Dead Star Assembly and Morrison Poe and Encode and uh, Gods and Monsters and a dozen other bands I'm forgetting right now. Um, and we would all play shows. And so I knew Gene and I knew Morrison Poe because we cut our teeth on that local scene. And you and I know this, but just kind of for
The
context,
rest.
watching this,
Yeah.
there was like one day you were like, "Oh yeah, we should get that girl from Morrison Poe." And like the way that we had cut our teeth on that local scene was almost like high school. And it was like you were randomly being like, "We should hang out from Billy that sat in front of you in science class." Like, how the fuck do you know who that is? There's no
I was a
reason.
huge fan.
Yeah, like there's no reason you should know some random person I went to high school with 20 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
and like Morsipo was great and they kind of did their thing, but they didn't blow up nationally, unfortunately. They had the talent, but there's so many circumstance there. But for you to like mention this random band that we played with when we had never even left Fort Lauderdale, was just wild. So yeah. But I
Yeah.
think that led to my delusions that I didn't understand how the music industry worked outside of my little local scene at the time.
Yeah.
And I figured it was the same way everywhere and that I could just like, we don't need to it was very like punk rock. It's like, "Oh, we don't need all we have 6 of the shows. We just got 15 more to
F-
book. Book it on the
m-
road," you know?
MySpace was amazing, man. I found Atreyu, I found Morrison Poe. I found so many bands that weren't big or known yet from MySpace.
See, I found Atreyu from Neverending Story. That's where I first heard of him. I'm gonna let
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note,
deep cut. Anyways, look at the time. Um, well with that, dude, thanks for fucking hanging out, man.
yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I'm glad that we were able to do that, even with our slight little technical difficulties. And this is a cool episode because it's like we took a little break for the winter, and this is the first one back. So
Yeah, no, seriously, thank you for having me. And when you talk to Eric, tell him I can't wait to work with him. So
Eric's probably watching this right now. I haven't looked at the live stream in a minute. Um,
zero.
yeah, no one cares. Uh,
La who? The her.
it looks like the Facebook live stream didn't go through, but Instagram.
No.
No. And a few people popped in and they're like, "Nah, fuck this guy," and they took off. So
Yeah. Who the fuck is Shattered Shell?
what are we talking about today? Like, what is this? Um, well, cool, man. Well, any closing statements? Love it, man. Love it. Well, once again, this is Yes, Quit Your Day Job. I'm Seven Dunbar here with Cadmus from Shattered Shell. Uh, please, what do we have to do? We're not just musicians. We're content creators now. We got to get a little spiel. Like, hit that like and subscribe. Come see us for more. Uh, subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe to our Patreon. We haven't made one yet, but when we do, like, do that. Yeah, facts. 100. All right, brother. Well, thanks again, and I'll talk to you next time. All right.